All right, you're back online. Let's go. Connected to nice, nice. We are online. What's up, poker people? This is Funchampion in the house, and today we're gonna continue our hand reading series. Due to some technical issues, we could not do it for 2 days in a row, and we're gonna continue from today onwards again every single day. That's the plan. I've been still studying hand reading series. I did some review of all the sessions that we have done so far and the action items taken. I've done some offline work on it, and probably it would be interesting to share all of the current progress or progress until date. I think it would be nice to share it like 33 days into the challenge, like halfway through the challenge. Probably we'll have a review of what we have done, a few questions and a few things that are probably still a mystery, or we need some more inputs or uh, some introduction or some lead into that area, so we can continue understanding and learning it in a better way. Today's session is obviously, as you can see in the title, it's small blind, 3-bet squeeze, and we get called by a tight aggressive player in hijack. So let's get into it.
66 days in a row. I really do feel that this hand reading exercise is totally helping. I just got off a session of poker play while the whole time, I went out on the felt, on the felt play, and then allowing me to make some better decisions for it. So I'm really happy I'm doing this. I hope you are doing this kind of practice for yourself as well. And we looked at 3-betting hands where I 3-bet pre-flop, and we covered, I think it was this one earlier. And then we start going through the hand here. We've got to whip stem.
Good
I'll
stuff,
take a look
good
at
stuff,
it.
good stuff.
So you can call, raise, and a call.
All
We
right.
decide to 3-bet. Nice. I like it. Okay, cool. So, let's see here. Versus a hijack, open, and an overcall. Hijack calls.
Happens plenty of time in our games.
And so he just calls. What was our sizing right here? 4 times. Okay, so definitely charging the two players, expecting, look how passive he is. If
Right.
he calls, I'm expecting him to call quite often, probably. So I'm betting 4x here to make some good value off of these two. But Gil Bates ended up folding. So we've just got us and Satya Palkar here.
If you see the
Let's see
stats,
what their range is.
18, 11.
So we got to think first. They opened and then called a 3-bet. It's not like they just cold called a 3-bet from the big blind or anything. We got to think about what hands are going to open raise first and then decide to call without 4-betting. So we will be removing some 4-betting hands. So let's look at the call 3-bet range. Let's start with this one here.
All right.
What do we know about this player? 28 hands, 18, 11. Pretty tight aggressive. I think they really could play these hands for an open and a call. Especially only 28 hands. They don't know much about me. So far at this table, I'm an 18-18 tight aggressive player. No 3-bets up to this point. Oh, fold a 3-bet. 0 3-bets up to this point. 0 out of 5 instances. So being my first 3-bet that they've seen from me, it's most likely a pretty strong hand. 22 hands it's out of right here.
If they
so
are
given the fact that it's most likely a strong
looking
hand,
at stats,
what are they calling
they're
with?
observing that
Well,
only in that case, right?
What size is their stack?
Otherwise,
There's plenty of money behind. Some people do call these. I'm going to take these out of the range, just all those baby ones. Maybe I'll stick with 7s through jacks calling. Queens or better are 4-betting, so we're taking them out of the range. Not calling, not calling,
All
not
right.
calling.
I agree.
Ace 10 offsuit, you could think he is in position right here. They are in position.
4x.
Nah. Let's be slightly tighter than that last
In the
player.
offsuit
Because we do see
combos.
that they are a tight, aggressive player. In general, only calling 7% of the time total. Look at that gap between VPIP and PFR. So really, they aren't a wide caller at all. We can expect some, these pocket pairs, some suited connectors, suited broadways, because people love flopping something really strong there. If we do have aces or kings, queen 10 and jack 10 can totally crack those hands. The suited
Yeah.
aces can flop a flush or flop a nice flush draw. I can see those being in. Now, oftentimes people, if they're calling king queen suited, they will call the king queen offsuit.
UTG plus 2, final 15. All right. 13, 14 bigs, running 9 out of 15. Decide to shove with Jack 10 suited. Got called by a hijack. That sounds like a hand that I played the other day. Yeah, and he make trips of aces and got busted. Are you talking about my hand? Because that's exactly what happened. They made trips with aces, ace five. That's. I think you're talking about me. Are you not? But I don't think. Was I UTG plus two? As not cut off as hijack. Uh, yeah. No, I was in the cutoff exactly at a start. uh, See, I feel Jack 10 suited is absolutely following the charts and not deviating much, even if we add a decent amount of risk premium. Yeah, right. You're talking about the monster stack hand, right? I don't remember hands that well, but I remember this really well because I also was thinking whether I was right in shoving and whether they were right in calling. So 13 to 14 bigs. We have to accept that if we run through a few orbits without actually hitting even a decent hand, even if we have ace x off or something like that, we're not so happy in terms of shoving. Whereas jack 10 suited has loads of equity when jammed from cutoff, and if we are talking about that particular hand, let me pull up real quick. Hold on. I have a couple of charts which I do refer. Let me just show you from that. So even if we reduce decent amount of hands as a risk premium, all right, I feel cutoff RFI has just a lot of hands that should be actually going in. So uh, let me mark on equilab the kind of hands that. All right, that's a super interesting topic you have brought up, my friend. So 15 bigs, all right, 15 bigs effective. This is the entire, and I like how you bring it up though. Full marks for that creativity. All right. So these are the hands that we should be playing from cutoff RFI according to the ranges that I use. So all of these hands, let's go. All these are opening, by the way, not shoving, obviously. And the hands that are shoving, they are all right. I use all of these shoving hands, not this, not this. uh, Not nines, not this, not tens. All these are not shoving because obviously they are too strong to shove, no doubt about it. These are shoving according to the charts, all right. And now I'll talk about how I look at making some corrections in terms of playing 13 to 14 bigs from the cutoff. Hold on, give me a sec. All these are not shoving, by the way, and these are supposed to shove. All right. Yeah. So these are the hands which are supposed to shove 15 big blinds from the cutoff. So if we are 9 of 13 and if we want to make it to final table with a good stack and not just skim the trailing edge, which I used to do earlier a lot of times, I prefer to go for that big double or stealing the blinds because you have to keep on aggressively shoving or getting into pots with the intention of taking the blinds or doubling up. That's how I see it makes sense. And eventually, after you do that a few times, you're gonna get probably irritated calls or probably weaker calls, even thinking that the I'm shoving, over shoving probably. And this was one of the hands which does hold good amount of equity. Now I would obviously love to shove a pocket pair, but if there are risk premiums in place, payout jumps in place, and also the fact that if we just wait an orbit or so, we are definitely getting into the final table and potential super good pay jumps. In that case, probably I would not shove essentially these hands. Or probably shove these hands, which I did. I did shove sevens as well, and that's how, by the way, we got into that place. Earlier, I was trailing quite a bit in the tournament. I wasn't 9 of 14 kind of level. We were pretty much, how do you call it? Pretty much in the final 10% in the last 30 or something like that as well. So I would not shove these hands because then risk premium comes into play. I probably would not shove all of these hands either. Ace 5 suited alone. King 9 suited would be shaved off. Jack 9 suited would be shaved off. I just open them and open fold. 10 9 suited, again, I won't be jamming. And you look at that. So we have already shaved off a good amount of our range for the risk premium involved. If we don't shove these hands, then probably we are still opening and open and folding to three bets or folding to shoves would be again disastrous because we are giving up so much equity. So I feel it's a fair enough shove with 13 bigs. On cutoff, I guess a6 hands are shovable, yes, indeed, where x is not less than 8. Why you say also you can min raise or 2.5. What you say also you can min raise or 2.5x open with jack 10 suited. Yeah, exactly, I answered that question. I can min raise jack 10 suited, but then if we get shoved upon, calling off with jack 10 suited is not probably the most ideal thing in my opinion. 2.5x, again the same thing. If we don't really flop well or connect that well, and if they donk, and a couple of people on the table were indeed donk jamming and stuff like that, so I wanted to, get the entire fold equity if we have it. And again, the guy who called uh, Unity Pro, he was calling off a lot of loose hands as well. He had a big stack, so chances were that we were gonna get called probably loser, and could potentially hit something really nice. So that was my thought process. I don't particularly regret shoving jack 10 suited and busting at that stage. And just think of it, like if we would have doubled up with 13ish bigs in our hand, so directly 26 bigs, and that puts us in like top 5 or even top 3 people in that list. And then we could use our position and stack to bully around and just make sure we get good position finish. I did think about it, but thank you for bringing it up. That was really nice in terms of discussion. Again, shoving from cutoff, if the big blind is folding, small blind and big blinds are anyway not expected to wake up with something solid. In this case, they did with ace 4 suited and decided it was good enough to call. They did and made trips. So it doesn't matter. It is what it is. We cash out and be green for the day and be ready for the next one. What can you do, right? All right. So I'm trying to not take defensive lines. Turn पर तो लगा मुझे कि backdoor connect हो. I know, right? I know, right? Yeah, I was also rooting for it, but yeah. Never mind. It's absolutely fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine going aggressive. Fine entering the final table with a lead, chip lead, or absolutely on ventilator. Like you go for shoves, go for double ups in the final two. That's how I would like. And I followed the action after that as well. Uh, Ace 4 suited is still a loose call, yes, but they were also like having some 46 bigs. So for them, calling off some 10, 12 bigs was not a big deal. So again, that factor also comes in into picture. What percent of our stack are we calling with? Although most people I've seen do talk about effective stack size alone. Like, would you call? Would you, if you have 15 bigs, would you call off with Ace 4 suited? Probably not. When you have a big stack, you can take that chance. So he took the chance and it paid off for him. So yeah, good outcome, good result for them. Uh, but still, like I said, I don't mind taking these aggressive lines out of three. I mean, we are making enough deep runs. It's not like we are not making enough deep runs. Like ye ho gaya, we have to make the max ladder from this. That's probably not the mindset I'm carrying right now. It's I'm gladly taking three top 20 finishes, and in that one is definitely going for the win. So so that's cool, man. That's cool. All right, we'll get back to the hand reading exercise today.
Of course, most people know that suited adds equity, but that is possibly in the calling range.
But thank you
Before I
so
know
much for
too
bringing it
much
up.
more about this
Really
player,
appreciate it. And thank you for the rail
or
if you're
the
following
fact
and
that I
railing
don't
for
know
me.
much about this player makes me just include them in the calling range right now.
We are gonna
All
smash
those
it
offsuit
soon,
aces
man.
right there. Okay.
I can feel it. Coming already.
I think this is a pretty
As cliche
decent
as it sounds.
range. 13%, 100.
If you don't take aggressive lines, then don't. There won't be many deep runs. Yeah, that's true as well. That's true. No, but there's also another line that people take. That's they stack up quite a bit in the middle stages, and then they just take those selective spots where only I'm playing with the top five, top 10%, and they end up cashing somewhere 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, or something like that. So as I've heard, as I'm following a lot of content also online, and I see people play from the stages of last 50 left, last 30 left, last 20 left, final two tables. So I don't see people giving up spots. I don't see people, giving up even marginal or even break even spots. That's how most people, most winning players, most good players online are playing it. So probably that's a decent line to take. Also, I think a point to consider is if we are not playing as much volume as everybody else is, it makes sense to play a little bit conservatively, cash as much as we can, and help our bankroll. And then when we are pushing volume, I feel it makes sense, maximum sense. When we are making like 10 tournaments a day, we are playing 10 tournaments a day, like probably cashing in 3 4, then it makes sense to go max aggressive on the bubble, on the FT bubbles, on in between as well. In between, the payout structure was so flat that there was absolutely no incentive to wait for that ladder or something like that. But at the point where Abhishek pointed out, yes, ladders were just beginning, like three steps after, or three bust outs after our position in that particular tournament. So it does merit. I'm not saying it does not. Probably a wrong way to think. Most pros are gonna bash this way of thinking, but I feel if we are building our role, if that ladder is important to us at this point of time, then the risk premium that we associate, the shoves that we do, should also consider that risk premium. Uh, if our decided range, even after excluding some hands for the sake of having more risk premium, more equity, raw equity, while going heads up as a shoving hand and getting called by somebody after us in position, um, in that case also, if our set ranges allow for that kind of shove, after considering the risk premium, we should go for it. We should not hold back. That's my current approach. All right, let's continue.
174 combos.
Back to the back to the game.
Don't know
Awesome
what's going to
sauce.
come. Yep, the hijack calls.
So as you can see, the action is in small. Oh, let me remove this. As you can see, the action is all right. I'm not blocking the view or anything. Cool. The action is we are in a small blind. We 3-bet squeeze when hijack opens and button calls, overcalls, and a button or cut off, doesn't matter. And we 3-bet squeeze 4x and hijack calls and the other guy folds. So we heads up with hijack.
And SB folds.
Right.
So we are heads up here.
We're in the big blind. Oh, we're in the big blind.
Down.
My bad.
Wow, all dim hearts.
All hearts, monotone board, classic stuff.
All right. Oh, well, before we enter that, what am I 3-betting with pre-flop? Last time I gave myself aces. I think right now I really can, versus this tight aggressive player and this guy, I really think I can be 3-betting with pocket queens here. So let's give myself the queens. Jack six. Oh, if I do have the queens or even kings or aces, a pretty good overpair. I've got 71% equity versus the range. King 75% and
Let's
aces
just
85%. Lovely. So we've got the queens. One of the reasons why, if we have pocket aces, it jumps up so much. If we have pocket aces, a big part of their potentially strong card range gets taken away
yeah,
real
I'll
quick,
take
right? Because
photo.
we have two of the aces. We block a lot of this stuff. Well, if we're blocking a lot of these suited cards, of course, aces are the best possible pair, right? But now that if we don't have kings, they can't flop an overpair to us.
Hmm.
They can't have an ace. And then we also take away all these nut flush draw possibilities here by having these. Not take away, we limit their nut flush draw possibilities. So things are looking good with the aces, but we will give ourselves queens, which still looks pretty good. We're winning this 71.5% of the time. So,
Interesting.
on the Jack 6 7 board, we really, okay, if we had the Queen of Hearts, not as bad, but let's just give ourselves a non heart right now. So we do have 63%. We can see our equity dropped a little bit. They do have plenty of flush draws in their range with all these suited aces and suited cards. But really, they didn't hit this.
All right, guys. I'm sure you might have seen it already, but if you haven't, let's just again look at this particular. Oh, we are just assuming that we have queens, and the point we are gonna make again is solid usability of Equilab. Let's focus on this again. So this is the good stuff with Jack 7 6. First of all, we can look at this, which is scenario analyzer. We can, this is a flop, and let's say we have queen of diamonds and queen of diamond and queen of spades. If that's the case, we are looking at this flop. On this flop, we have equity of about 64%, and uh, every other card that is going to that can come up on the turn is listed over here, and their respective equities are also listed. So this is super cool, which we discussed last time we talked about, and it is just amazing that this is a part of free software like Equilab. So there's no need to pay for this. This is available for everybody to download and just gain the most of. Like obviously a queen on the turn will give us maximum equity, which is like 86ish% on the turn. Already we see that as a pop-up. You're not seeing that on the screen, but you can see it here. So this is amazing. So if let's say I selected the queen already, and then we are talking about the river cards, and if we select 6, that makes a boat. So that's amazing. All right, so yeah, that's enables the boat, I mean. Okay, queen 6, that's brilliant. So let's go back. We have not selected the turn card. Now we go into this section where we can talk about hand strength, distribution, and hand range reductions in Equilab. So the best part is, since Jack 7 and 6 of hearts is on the board, all these ace x's, king x's, queen x's, which are suited and which are of the hearts variety, are in here. So if we look at this and used detailed hand strength classification, you know check this box, so that enables us to see that we don't our opponent doesn't make any straight flushes or all of this in on this board. Obviously in flush section, okay, flush two cards and nut, flush two cards and no nut. So if they have any of this range, so let's select none. All right, all of these are unselected now, and flush with two cards and no nut. So these are the only flushes they have, which are non-nutted flushes, which is very interesting to observe. All right, and the nutted flushes are in fact a lot more with all these ace x's, or like, yeah, ace queen and ace 10 and ace 8, ace 9 and ace 5. Interesting. And we did not select all of these, so they are not in the range. So that again gives us probably a hint that could and should include all of the possible ace x's, suited aces in our calling ranges for most three bets. If not, all this offsuit junk, this definitely serves a purpose for just for this scenario alone, where we have a solid flush draw or a flop flush. All right, and if we include both of these, now we get to see there's so much of combos adding up. 5 plus 3 8, and 3 of a kind again. 3 of a kind will come with jacks, so there are some 3 combos of jacks and 3 combos of 7, so 6 combos here. So we can count in combos like one pair, just top pair, like they have jack paired, whatever it might be. So you see all the jacks are showing up over here. Now it's very easy to visualize how many jacks, how many good pairs are in their range. So top pair and marginal kicker like jack 10, and top pair and a decent kicker, probably third best kicker queen, top pair king kicker, top pair top kicker, all of these hands are pretty much in their calling range. Also they have offsuit combos that they're defending, which mean that they have uh, lots in number of combos that they can have a flopped top pair with. All right, so one pair, and which is the second pocket pair. All right, so that's very interesting. Between jack and 7 we have 8 9 10, that is it's a 3 gapper towards the top kind of a flop. So in these 3 gaps they could have a pocket pair, which could be pocket 10s 9s 8s, and there are so many combos as listed of those pocket pairs which form the second pair on the board as of now. All right, uh, all of these one pair, which is middle pair and second or worse, that is 7, so ace 7, and pocket 7s won't come in that because it would be sets, but a worse, and one pair low pair, third pair, all right, ace 6, obviously. That's interesting. And now look at this. There's so much detail, as much detail as we want to drill into. If we do not want to dive into all these details right now, we can absolutely skip it, but let's just consider 2 of these, like backdoor straight draw. All right, let's consider this. So what is a zero gap backdoor straight draw? That's absolutely interesting, by the way. So if we have a king 10, all right, so king 10 would mean there's the jack 10 is done, and 6 7, like we need 8 9, and if we have king 10 we also can make a straight draw with ace and a queen on the board. Let's consider how different is this with ace 9 and 2 gap backdoor straight draw. All right, if this is getting too complicated right now, we can skip this. There's absolutely no requirement to do it right now, but these are all the detailed hand strength distributions that we can select. Now we can just select all of these and understand that they are 128 combos in total, and we are going to use them here. As you can see, it is 128 combos. If there was no flop like this, we have 146, and just because we have these hands, these cards which are dead right now, we are reduced to 128 combos on their part. All right, that's all I wanted to share in terms of the Equilab capacity to drill down the flops and their range.
Board super strongly, especially if we have an overpair like queens. The things that currently beat us, if we take away these top pairs and take away this stuff, they only hit 14% of the time with a hand that currently beat us, which are just sets and flushes, really. So right now, if we have the overpair, we're pretty happy. We do want to charge them probably for any kind of draws that they might have. So let's see what happens on this. We check out a position. I'm not a big fan of that.
All
Oh,
right.
and they checked me out. Maybe I was planning on, I don't know, check raising. Maybe I flopped a nut flush or something. So, yes, there was no action here, but we can still probably still eliminate some hands from their range because they chose not to bet. They have position. If they have a nut hand, let's say they have pocket sixes, pocket sevens.
Yeah,
Did we include
they have
jacks?
a lot of.
Yes, we included jacks in their range. If they have a set, they're probably going to want to bet because we
Sure,
could be checking right here with an ace of hearts or a king of hearts or even a queen of hearts hands,
sure.
queen of hearts hand that he doesn't want to give us a free card with.
Yeah.
So the fact that he checked tells me that he does not have what's his stack here? $6, 4x. It is possible to still get in, but I think if he has a flush, I 3-bet pre-flop. I've got to like my hand, right? Pre-flop I did. Maybe not on this flop, but if he wants value, he should be betting all of his flushes, even just like $2 or $3. If even with a nut flush right here,
Right.
he should be betting because I can call with queens, kings, and aces
Just
on this board right now. I might throw away on a fourth heart, but he should try to get value with all of his flushes right now while the getting's good. While I probably still am willing to call a card. So I'm going to take the
Agreed.
flushes out of his range because he should be betting there. Sets should be
All the
betting on such a
flushes?
wet board. He doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to see a fourth heart for sure. And if I have an overpair, queens, kings, and aces, I'm probably giving him value with his set. So I'm going to take those out of his range. There aren't even any two pairs over pairs. Top pairs are in his possible check behind range on such a scary board. Pocket pair below top pair, checking behind mid pairs, weak pairs, ace highs now. Let's not mark those as checking behind. We might give him some draws that are checking behind here. Oh, well, I guess we might as well, because he's not betting, so let's put them in his check behind range, because they are crappy hands. Nut flush draws. Those are all the ace of heart hands. Man, if I had the nut flush draw here, I would if I were him, I'd be betting. And he's looking tight aggressive. So I think he would be betting with his nut flush draws. I really think so. Second nuts, those are all the random kings. Okay. Ace king and king queen. They're both two overcards too. Man, he should be betting those. Third nuts. Those are the queens. Oh, look at they're overcards too. He should be betting them. He might be. We don't know much about him post flop. Man, I'm not going to give him. Well, are these checking behind? He could be super passive and just willing to check behind without a made hand. We just don't know enough about him. He's an unknown player, and currently, what I would think about all of my unknown players that I'm up against, I could put checking behind with all the draws in the range because I just don't know how aggressive they are with draws yet. If I know that somebody loves to check raise or loves to c-bet their draws all the time, then I could take them out of the range. But because he's an unknown, I am going to keep them in the range. These weak flush draws, totally checking behind. Open-endeds, yeah, checking behind, gut shots. So really, 86% of his range is checking behind. The only things that aren't are the made hands that should be betting for some value right now, or for
Makes
quote-unquote protection with a set versus a fourth heart coming. 118 combos, 86%. Now, if this is their range, we can see it's a pretty weak range overall. Currently, our hand is very good against it. There's plenty of draws in the range, stuff that we do have to worry about. But right now, we do have the pocket queens. I think we should have bet, if this is the hand that we have, I think we should have bet on the flop as a C-bet here. Put him to the test on such a kind of scary board for a lot of players. If he hit nothing, like if he has the ace, I don't know, ace four of spades or something, he's probably folding 100% of the time. Even if we have, ace king, ace queen, we don't have a made hand, but we have the good ace, we should be betting here as a bluff. Four of spades hits.
That doesn't change much. All right, let's look up the scenario analyzer to see what a four of spade does. All right, on this four of spade. Four of spade actually pretty much retains the equity of queens versus majority of the range we have selected over here. That's interesting. because it is potentially a brick, doesn't connect anyway with opponents calling range, doesn't help. They don't have many fours to make sets which improve upon our queens, and essentially if they are on one card flush draw, it doesn't it reduces their equity a little bit more, so our equity increases. All right, makes sense.
Now, I'm glad that we bet because he checked behind. The 4 doesn't really change anything. Sure, a
Yeah,
5-8 pocket fours that
could
check behind
potentially
just hit
be
a set. Wait, he doesn't have fours, right? We took
fours out of.
sixes and below out. No, so he doesn't
Nice.
have fours. Um, what else? Pocket five. Oh, we didn't. We took out fives even. He doesn't even have an open ender. So the 4 basically, with his range, the 4 helped him not at all. We should be bluffing and betting our entire range here. Even if we tried to slow play a flopped flush, a nut
Hmm.
flush right now, we should be betting because we've got to bet
Now
at
is
some
the
point to
value,
try to get some value out of the guy.
right?
So this keeps our range pretty darn wide. We could be doing this with queens, kings, aces. We could be doing it with a flush. Could be doing it with ace, king, ace, queen, pocket
Sure.
nines. Pocket tens, if I do 3-bet nines and tens, those are definitely hands that could be making this bet here. So our bet keeps our range pretty wide. I like it. What does he do? He just calls. Now, what just calls on the 4 of spades? Um,
Hmm.
oh, wait a second. Well, before that hit, we've got to lock this down. Good, so that changed the range. My bad, I didn't change it. Now the 4 of spades hits. And then so we can see he doesn't have any of these good hands. Because the 4 didn't help in any way, he didn't have those hands on the flop, doesn't have them
Hmm.
now. Top pairs. Random weak jacks on a scary board. Yep, those could be
Still
just calling
calling.
right here.
Yeah.
Pocket pair below. Yep, because we showed weakness on the flop and the 4 didn't really change anything on the turn, we could
Yeah.
still have ace, king, ace, queen, and his pocket pair is currently beating us. Especially
Hmm.
those pocket pairs with a random heart,
Hmm.
tens, nines, or eights with the
Yeah,
heart.
that makes
Um,
sense.
let's see. Mid pairs could be calling one street. Weak pairs, what are they? Oh, the 6 and the 4. Ace 6, ace 4. Um, if he thinks that we have nothing because we check the flop, he could be calling right there because the 4 doesn't change anything at all.
Right.
Ace highs, let's take those out of his calling range right now just because they are super weak. We'll put some of them in here. No made hands, let's take them out. Nut flush is totally calling. Could possibly raise, but we don't know enough about the
Hmm.
player. Second nut flush calling, third nut flush, weak flush draw. No open ender gut shots on this board calling? Heck no, they shouldn't be at least. I
Two
wouldn't be calling.
overcards are also
And
not
he is a
calling.
tight aggressive player, so I'm going to kind of, right now, because he's kind of unknown but
Hmm.
slightly tight aggressive, I'm going to assume he's like me. 74 hands, 63%. 74 hands. So we've taken down from 174 down to 74. Removed 100 hands, 100 combos from his range. Currently, if this
Hmm.
is his range, we're ahead 81% of the time. We love our overpair right now. Things are looking
Right.
pretty. Ooh, pair on the board and 4 flush in the board. Look at that.
Everything gets
So
there.
now you can see, holy cow, look, our equity dropped from 81% with our lovely overpair. Now
Right.
that we don't have the heart, of course, if we had the heart, things would look great. But we don't have the heart. Paired board,
Yeah.
7-6. I mean, I guess that counterfeits any possible 2 pairs that we didn't
Also,
put
yeah.
7-6 in his range. But if he had a 7-6, that counterfeits. We're now ahead of that. But currently, our equity dropped big time to 54%. So I think we do have to be careful on this river right here.
Right.
We check, and he checks behind. Okay, great. So
Yikes.
let's just look at. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we
So
could just
nobody
see
has
showdown
a
right now,
strong
but
hand
let's at
theory,
least
I
think
guess.
about what hands are checking behind
Nobody
at
has
this point.
sets for sure. I mean,
Nut
nobody has a
flushes?
full house.
Heck no. Second nut flush? No way those are checking behind. Third nut flush?
Sets
Those
versus
queens, are they really going to check
top
behind?
pair or
I think
over
they're betting.
pair kind of a
What's the
situation.
pot?
Seems
11
like
bucks?
sets are
I mean,
afraid
how
of
are we going to check behind with
uh,
any kind, or
sets.
not check
No
behind?
sets,
How are we
sorry.
going to check on this
There
river
won't
with
be
any
sets.
kind of flush? We want value from the
The
guy.
sets are right
The
now.
fact that we checked, we're not trying
Boats.
to check raise on this board. No way. So he's got to be betting. He's got to be betting.
Any kind of a flush.
Weak
Second
flushes,
nut
I
or
guess, are in a check behind because they're
second.
so weak. Maybe he's a scared player post flop.
Hmm.
3 of a kind just hit a random 4 just now on a 4 flush. Yeah, if that was the 4 of clubs, I could see 3 of a kind betting, but on the 4 of hearts, nah. So all this other bad stuff is checking behind. So his
Hmm.
check behind range is actually pretty darn wide. And if that is his range, I mean, all that, of course, we obviously beat it all, even with just our one over pair here.
Right.
Not all of it. I mean, we
Most
beat
of
most
it.
of it. Three of a
Three
kind
of a
has us
kind it
beat.
doesn't.
But
Yeah.
yeah, things are looking good for our hand right now. That's the final range. We are going to put him on. 65% of his turn
Interesting.
range, 48 combos. Hell, look at that! We did have the queens. Spade club.
No, that's just
Whoops,
calling
got rid of it.
cards.
Spade and a club right there. Lovely. What did he have?
Ace
Ace
Jack.
Jack of spades. That is in his range. Good. So it was a
Nice.
top pair hand that we kept in the whole way. It does make sense if
Yeah.
we look at it. On the flop right there, it makes total sense. Checking behind, he does not have a heart. He
So
has a
yeah, it's
top
gonna
pair
call.
showdown worthy hand. No need to bet right now and then be scared
True.
or blown off of a check raise
Hmm.
possible. So I understand that. Four doesn't change anything, but
So
he's
you
probably
were just
scared of a
supposed to
possible
call.
flush. So he
Yeah.
does just call, controlling the pot size with his showdown
And the
worthy
river
hand.
completes the
Now the
single
four
card
hits. He
flush.
doesn't know what to think. We could easily have a random,
Yeah.
could have
Heart.
been Jack 10 with a 10 of hearts or
Yeah.
pocket nines with a 9 of hearts right here. So it
Hmm.
makes sense just checking behind, getting to showdown, trying to win that
Wow.
$11
Okay.
or
So they
$12
both
pot,
played
and we end up taking it down.
pretty well, I
So
guess.
great. That
Just
is
right
good.
on
Yeah,
point.
so he just passively played his top pair on such a scary board. I probably would have played exactly the same way as him. I do prefer, though, making a flop C bet on my part here. Because
Ah.
on that
Okay.
board, there's
Queens
so much that he could be folding that um,
could
it's
potentially
possible
improve
he could
even
fold his
with.
pocket nines, his pocket eights, if he does have fives, fours, threes, twos in his range with a heart. We could be getting all of those to fold, which I mean,
Hmm.
or call to give us value because he doesn't have a flush just yet. So if we would have bet, and if he did have any random heart, we would have gotten value on the flop and possibly gotten value on the turn. We would have lost on the river, but when you have the best hand and you're
Yeah.
betting and getting called by draws, those draws are giving you money because they have not hit their hand yet.
Right.
So I would like a value bet on this flop here because we're
That's
getting every
interesting.
single heart in his range to call. When we double barrel, if we had double barreled the turn, great, it's possible we're getting even more value out of all those random hearts that are calling. And we would have gotten value from his top pair. He would have called the flop and the turn with just a top pair hand.
Right.
So I think we missed out on value by not c betting on the flop. We were out of position on a scary board, so I understand why I checked instead of betting. But looking at it now, I prefer the bet. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you very much for watching. I will.
All right, that was a very interesting hand, and like I expressed immediately, I would have probably played it the same way in both seats, as out of position pre-flop aggressor and as in position pre-flop caller with top pair on a scary board where flush is right there on the board. Um, Argument could be made for the queens to bet, but if we get check raised on the flop, we are not really liking it. And if they choose to barrel off following street, and when the heart hits, it's going to be difficult for us to even justify making a call over there since so many things get there already. Um, Apart from that, it was really nice, and I've already started studying the monotone flops a little bit in terms of how do they help our range versus aggressor range versus calling range, in position versus out of position, and all of this is actually filling up my head really fast. But it's fun nevertheless. I hope you guys are following along with the series and are making some benefit from it. So let's just keep going. Let's just keep powering through and making the most of this. Thank you so much all for joining. We will continue this exercise tomorrow with day 29. Bye bye and have an awesome time at the felts.